Mhm. It's captivating. The words that they use captivated the audience and produced um, a physical manifestation of it, which is action. Mhm. I've never heard that before, though. That's interesting. Oh, okay. So you even bring. I didn't even think about that aspect of it. It's like when you're speaking, you use hand gestures, and you kind of like your story. You're presenting it in a fashion with your hands. And, mm. Yeah, there's you have to convince. There's that conceiving aspect of it. You can't like if you're telling a story and that's not very convincing or animated or it's not going to work. It's you're not people are going to get. Bored and walk away or you know. So what made you? Let me ask you this: what made you have that thought? What were you doing that made you have that thought? Were you watching Harry Potter? Mm. You know, someone that didn't know how the dynamics of starting a fire and how to keep it running, and that it needed like you might not even have to know that it needs oxygen, but if you took somebody that didn't know the dynamics of how to like get the flame going, and they saw you just breathing on embers, that would seem magical. That would seem yeah. That's that. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's where a lot of these things derive from. Is there's usually a story behind any kind of myth, legend, um, any kind of anything that we believe really, or there's some kind of story, even if it's wrong. Like say, like like the stars, the way the stars move, or not the stars, like the moons move, maybe the stars as well. There's usually a story behind them, and it'll actually translate to where or to how it moves, or like say like with the moon. That might affect maybe crops growth or something like that, but they would attach a story to it and to make sense of the world, for things they didn't understand, for things that they didn't understand, they would attach a story to it, something like that, and then that would, yeah, and that would lead to like say with the blowing on like you said the embers and causing these little ashes to rise from it. It might look magical what you're doing. That maybe like who knows how witchcraft started, but that could be one of the things that led to it and very easily. We used to be. Hmm. Well, okay, yeah, but usually the way people express something is not what they saw, but how they felt. That drives the narrative of the story. So it's not necessarily what they saw because what they feel could change what they saw. They might think, like we were talking about earlier, how the brain is just it's using the tools available to it to make sense of the world. You know. Mhm. Oh yeah. Hey, so when does that happen though? Are you usually home by yourself, or is it like late at night, like 3 in the morning when you're up by yourself, or you see like a shadow or something? You'll see like a shadow. Can you not hear me? Oh. You'll see like a shadow or something. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Like just right out of your. So okay, so I'll have like these shadow. Sometimes I'll think I'll see something out of my peripheral. I'll have that, but honestly, the only thing that scares me nowadays are people. It's not like movies. It's not like the supernatural. It's knowing that there's like serial killers out there and people that will kick a door down to rob you, or like yeah, murderers out there that they'll like I said serial killers. So like I'll be watching something, right? Like a documentary or pretty much something that happened in real life, and then I'll think, oh my door's locked, or all the doors locked, and I'll go check all the doors. So I'll check all the doors to the perimeter of the house, and then we've got doors on both sides of the bedroom. I'll lock both of those, But like even if I'm watching a movie that's fictional and it's something about something that like because the ultimate predator is a human. You're like, can you think? Yeah, we were watching a show recently. Actually, it was a new Dexter. And there's a guy. Have you seen any of it? So there's a killer. We know that's what happens in Dexter, right? And it just shows a close up of his eyes. It's like his eyebrows, his eyelashes, his eyes. He's like blinking. And in my head, I'm like, that's the eyes of the ultimate predator. Someone that's out there to hunt you, hunt other, someone that has the intellect that we possess, and they're using everything available to them, all their senses, their intellect, their knowledge of society and the laws to hunt individuals that are on the bottom. Like usually, serial killers will go people after people that either like some of them do aren't going to be missed, like the outcasts, because no one's looking for them. So, but that's like the ultimate predator right there. That shit scares me knowing that. I don't get too spooked. Like, there's no movie, even like possession movies anymore, that I get scared from, unless I know it's like based on a true story, like a true crime. Oh yeah. What's that? Ooh, you know why? You're a lot. Yes, exactly. And also because I heard that when you become a father, your testosterone level drops, which makes sense if you think about it. It makes sense. Not even if you think about it. This is what I had read or heard somewhere. Obviously, like we were talking about earlier, spewing out the same stuff we hear. But that when you have a kid, your testosterone level drops, and the reason for that is it's nature's way of keeping you involved with the mother and the baby instead of going off and looking for other mating partners. And there is um, a correlation to the amount of testosterone and like estrogen you have in your body because we also produce estrogen. So if your testosterone levels drop, estrogen is more like you're going to see more of it. You're going to see the effects of estrogen more clearly, and part of it is you, you get more emotional. You get more emotional. Like, mhm. Oh, that was on last night here, but I didn't watch it. It was kind of on in the background. What happened? No shit. That good? Uh huh. You're empathetic, but you know what else adds to it is the surgery. Just not the surgery. The dude, we just almost had a family crisis, a legitimate family crisis to where okay, so this was one of those situations. This is I don't know if you've thought about it this way, but the way I painted that first of all is I don't know if I'm mentally strong enough to cope with that type of loss because like if say we were to lose you, I think I found coping mechanisms, not to live a life without you, but coping mechanisms to deal with the potential of knowing that this might happen to you and you might die say 20 years from now, instead of living to like 80, 90. Um, but I also asked myself if would I be okay if I was in that position and I found out that I was going to be I only had 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You know, how would I cope with it? But also coming from so I kind of put myself in that headspace. I'm like, what would I think? What would I feel? But coming from something that emotionally draining, dude, I cried. I cried when I was thinking about it. When just thinking about that, I got emotional. You know. Um, so, but just going from something like that, and then to now knowing you're okay, but trying to settle back into your like your emotions are all over the place. Your even your fucking your chemistry is different because you thought you get into that fight or flight mode, you know, when you're like you're scared and you live that for like a month or two. Yeah. But but that's basically like surviving. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my. It's basically I never got to the end of, but it's basically like surviving. So your emotions are still fucking high, and then now you can kind of breathe the sigh of relief. Plus, you're a father, you know, and you have more to lose when you're a father. I didn't even think about that because I just yeah. Mm, that's where your head. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. That. So you get into that headspace only after you have a kid. I finally get that because we came home with Aliana. Claire decided to take a shower, but when she took a shower, this is like maybe like day one or two, maybe three. She was listening to all these songs, like country songs, and just songs about dads being proud of their daughters, right? And then so I found that song. I don't know if you remember. It's a song called "Butterfly Kisses." And yes, Dad would listen to that all the time. Maybe that's he was in the zone that we're in now. He would listen to that all the time, and me hearing like the third verse in that is talking about little girl. You know, always gave Dad. You know, no matter what happened at the end of the night or beginning of the night, it was butterfly kisses. You know, when she was a baby, and the third verse is the baby's getting married, and he's talking about giving his daughter away to another man. And I'm sitting here with Aliana, I'm sitting here with Aliana. Claire was in the shower already, like priming me up with all these sad songs that I've been listening to in the background. And I'm holding her, and I'm like, I'm thinking one day she's gonna change her last name, and she just got her last name. I don't want her to get rid of her last name, and I got fucking teary eyed. I was like, it's just thinking about her changing her last name and me having to give her up. You know, that was like that was enough to fucking marriage. Hmm. You're gonna be Will Smith in Bad Boys. Where it's like, yeah, we're gonna be like, what the fuck's your name? Oh, yeah. I heard on that scene on Bad Boys, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's that guy goes to take out Martin Lawrence's daughter, and so what I heard about that scene is that so that kid was just told to walk up to the door, and he was like 16 or 17, even though he's like a bigger guy. He's like 16 or 17, and the way Will Smith and Martin Lawrence came at him, I think it was Will Smith. That wasn't what was in the script. That's not what he expected to have. So he walked up, or maybe he didn't know that it was that scene. But the way Will Smith walked up to him, it was like the kid did. He had no idea that was going to happen. Now imagine being in a movie and Will Smith comes up to you and you're in a scene, and that's what he's doing. He's like laying it off thick. So in the movie, what made it was that kid's pure reaction to like shock and like not being prepared, and Will Smith coming at him like that. So it was like a legitimate like you know it was a legitimate reaction. Will Smith? Uh-huh. Yeah. Mhm. Oh, for sure. They're real moments. Yeah, or those are the scenes that are like remembered. Yeah, but I guess that goes with like there's that connection there. You know, like that's why there's so uh memorialized. Is there's that connection there, which is that's what makes a good movie though. Like if you watch a movie and you can't relate to anybody or it's bad acting, you're gonna be like that guy's definitely he's definitely acting and he's acting bad. This is not. I can't put myself in his shoes because I know what he's doing. You know, I don't buy the story. Uh, mm. Yeah, no, I think it's not only that, you've also got the rational mind of a late 30 no, you're not even 30 yet. A late 20-year-old, early 30s. Is like you know the world now. It's not magical anymore. Like when you watch movies, it's not like you don't buy the story anymore. You know exactly what's going on. The majesty and the mystery of the movie, which was a story, is gone because you there's certain movies you can watch. Like Claire was watching this movie the other day called A Boy Named Christmas. It was just bad. I didn't watch it. It's called The Boy. I think it was on Disney Channel or the Disney. Have you seen it? Hmm. But well, they have to sell a story. They have to be able to sell a story, and it could be an outlandish story. But if they can make you believe in it, you'll enjoy it. So that movie, I didn't like. I saw it in the background. I was like, you can tell not a lot. There's not a. It's not a multi-million-dollar production, you know, and the actors are okay, I guess, you know. But you can tell it was a story. It's like the kids. And then we watched. I put on this movie the other day. It was called something. It was something about a giant. It was like a little girl that was real. It was a real world scenario, but like with a giant, like a computer graphic character. I don't know what it was called. It was like this. There was a bunch of like big ogres or something like that. But I didn't watch it. What? Maybe. I'm not sure. But that one I could I saw it like it was on the background. I was like, you know, that movie I could actually enjoy. If I sat there and watched it, I'm sure I could enjoy it because just like hearing the way the story was laid out and how the actors acted, I was like, okay, it's believable. Believable. That movie you guys just watched, is that what you're talking about? Isn't it like Enchanted, but in Spanish or Encantio or something like that? Mm. Mm. Hmm. She was big. She stopped like a yeah. Hmm. That's deep. I said that's deep. Yep. Mm. A bigger sister. That's a good story then. Yeah. Hmm. You have to lead in, and you have to lead by example. You should lead by example. You feel bad if you don't lead by example. Um, I say you feel bad because I felt bad. I remember there was one point in my life to where, like, I remember, I think you were, I don't know what grade you were in. You were fucking young, but I was smoking cigarettes, and you came out and I gave you the cigarette to take a hit or something like that. And I think you did. I don't know if you did, but you didn't smoke the whole thing. You took like a hit, and I got it back. You you were young. Oh, okay, so it worked. So that's not what I wanted to do, but like that does, like, for me. So this is a tangent. My mom one time said, "Oh, you guys want a drink?" Or I think that's what it was, and she gave Justin a little shot of beer, and he tasted a sip and didn't drink it, and I took mine and I drank it, and Justin didn't drink his, and I was like, I'll drink his." And this was like we're in Minnesota, I think. Well, no, it was Florida. I'm sorry, it was Florida. But dude, what was I saying before that? I went off on a tangent and I forget where I started from. The stronger one. Oh yeah, so I felt guilty, like, even though I offered you that, and then it also got to a point to where, like, I felt I couldn't correct you guys, not only you and Nadine, but like Lisa or Justin. I couldn't say anything because of what I was doing. Like, I couldn't say, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't, anything, because I knew the life that I was living and I had no foundation to stand on to where I could be like an authoritative figure. So I remember not being able. I felt restrained, like, to where if I thought you guys were doing something you shouldn't be doing, even though I loved you guys so much, and you, Nadine, especially, because I'm old enough. I am 6 years older than you and 8 years older than Nadine. So I was doing the math finally on that the other day. I'm pretty sure that's right. Old enough to when you guys were little, I remember it and I appreciated it. I remember and appreciated how little you guys were when I was like 8. You know, so I always painted you in a different light, obviously, than I did like Lisa and Justin. They were my age. I fucking tormented them. I'm an asshole. I really am. I was. Um, and so, like, I appreciated, the age that you guys were. Shit, I lost my frame of thought again. Um, oh, yeah, but I feel like you can relate to that role too because you're an older brother, and Nadine, she's never gonna feel that responsibility. There is a lot of responsibility behind it, you know. Um, so, but why do you feel? Well, I should have. It's that I should have set the example, and since I didn't set the example, even though I loved you guys in so much, I couldn't correct you when I thought you were doing wrong because I wasn't doing any better. So it's like the only way you can put it into perspective is if how can I say this? Because you only had Nadine for that role. It's not, and that's a good role, but Nadine was never um, problematic like I was. So it's like you seeing somebody going down the wrong path, like your sister or brother, and you feeling like you can't correct them, even though you know it's not a good path, and they're gonna suffer for it. And you know, it's just that's what I mean by the pressure, you know, to being a bigger, older brother. Um, but you guys never had that kind of relationship to where like you were always there for Nadine. Like I remember one time. Again, when you guys were little, Nadine was in a little walker. She was walking around. You were sitting there. This is when you like never when you didn't talk before. You were always in a diaper, half naked or naked. And Nadine was crying. Nadine had her fits. She had her fits. And you looked at her and you gave her the little toy truck that you had or whatever toy car that you had. Like right away. That's just your. That's just how you were towards Nadine. Just as a compassionate person overall. But argument, yeah. Are we a product of our society or of our, or no, are we a product of just human nature or is it our environment? Like instinct. Well, it goes, ooh, yeah. It goes back to baby. So that's under the assumption that we're all born pure and um that we're learned like evil and hate and anger. That we're learned anger by society, you know. But that's not the truth because like we're all born with a little bit of aggression, a little bit of aggression, compassion. It depends on the environment that we're brought up in. Um, Dude, I'm having a hard time thinking, keeping a train of thought. But it's instinctual to us. We're born with it. You know how babies are born? I'm sorry, I'm just going off of the what I was just talking about. But you know how babies are born? They all have like personalities early on. We're born with a certain amount of aggression, agreeableness. We're born with a certain personality trait, but it can be formed and adjusted by when you're an infant. I think a lot of it has to do when you're in the womb of the mother, like the stress levels and the obstacles she's facing, right? Because if she's stressed, not fed well, if she's angry, if she's this and that, baby's gonna suffer. Baby's gonna have those same hormones, the chemicals that the brain produces when you're at those levels are gonna be transmitted to the baby. Um, During utero, it would be the whole developmental stage because you know how your body reacts to. Mm. I don't. Mm. I agree with that 100%. That's actually the that article I sent you, that little thing that I typed up. That's actually, well, actually, no, I didn't word it that way, but that's actually my thought. I didn't say in the womb, but like after the fact. So, because if you think about it this way, especially in the womb, if a mother's happy, right? Mother's happy, her body produces certain chemicals. Those chemicals have certain physiological change to her body. Like she's either going to be healthy or not healthy. So if a mother's happy and her body's healthy, the just her health is going to produce a better infant with more. And so like if you're like stressed, your brain produces what is it? I don't know what it is. Cortisol. I'm not sure if that's even close to it. But when you're stressed, your brain produces. It's not dopamine. It's the opposite of dopamine. Serotonin. So for example, when you're happy, if you're fucking happy, you're producing those brain chemicals. It's gonna have a physiological change to your body, and if those changes are happening when your baby's being developed, it's gonna affect the baby because your body is using its resources differently. So if you put an individual whose body is in a comfortable, his body's in a comfortable environment, happy, fed, no stress, they're gonna produce a better um, offspring than an individual who's stressed, has anxiety, is angry, doesn't know what the future is, doesn't know, especially a mother. if the relationship's gonna last. She's stressed because how am I gonna pay for this baby? I'm only 18. I'm a child myself. That's gonna have a negative impact on the development of the child because of the hormones that are being released from the mother, which is driving the health of her body. Mhm. Hey, mama. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. They're not going to suffer what you suffered when you were a child, the trouble that you had. Mhm. Yeah, that's a tough subject right there. I don't. Mhm. Well, I think part of it is, I mean, when it comes to like child rearing, like I don't know, you have to have a certain amount of like patience. You have to be a little older. You can't have kids when you're young. You have to wait till you're at least your brain's still developing into your mid till 25. So I can't imagine. Hmm, is that how old you were? 25? So wait, you're 29 right now, right? And Angel's, is he 6? So yeah, that's early on, man. Even then, dude, I struggle now. I'm 35 with this little monkey. I'm actually holding her right now. Escapade. Hmm. Hmm. Now that I think about it, questioning. What's the biggest thing you can question? Your religion. Your religion, what you were indoctrinated into. So just the fact that you start questioning your religion, that's critical thinking right there. Because I know I went through the stages. I went through guilt to where I felt bad about like masturbating. I would promise myself after every time that I would masturbate that I'm never going to do it again. This is bad. I want to go to heaven. so, so you get indoctrinated into it. And the, how do you get out of that though? Is critical thinking. Mhm. Ooh, there you go. Wait, what? How old were you? Ooh, okay. Yeah. what church was this again? First Assembly. Okay, over there on Goldenrod. Um, yeah, man, you that's crazy because you have like a different, obviously, story than I did at that time. Like I have different memories because I do remember going. Was it that church? I can't remember what church it was, but I was like seeing like a counselor. Yeah, them is it Goldenrod? I think it is. Is it Goldenrod? It's got to be Goldenrod. But mom had me see the therapist there, or yeah, she had me see the therapist there, or whatever. It wasn't even a therapist. I guess just a fucking guy. Yeah, and I just talked to him, and mom, I was having trouble, whatever, with like drinking and partying. Mom was having problems with me, so I was being rebellious, and and blamed you. Why? What happened? Or why? Really? Hey, can you give me 1 second? She's getting a little fussy here. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, what were we talking about? See if I can get on track here. You know what I should do? Maybe take some fucking notes, right? Notes is what it's all about. See, that would be cool. That would be a good idea, man. It's like we're having like conversations, a little fucking notebook. You ever watch debates? I'm sure you. I know you do. They take notes. Anybody that is in a debate takes notes, and they do it because they can touch on there because there's a lot of things that are brought up that need to be discussed. They're long form, um, um, I don't know what you want to call them, long form events. Yeah, and it's like the way they're timed is like everybody. Okay, each individual has 15 minutes to state their story. Mhm. Mhm. I can tell you've got that lingo down. I'm not sure if that's the way I would structure the event, but no. They have a game plan for the conversation they're going to have. That way, it's organized and it can be discussed civilly. So when you're having a discussion, there's a lot of thoughts that are being thrown around, and so you could like jot down, especially a debate, you could jot down certain ideas, and then so like how sometimes you forget. Like I'm about to forget right now. I almost forgot when I was having this conversation what you were talking about. You go back at your notes and look at them. As long as you're not stuck in your notes, and then you can have a long form because usually if you're talking, it's a narrative. It's usually about something. It is. That's when you go on like little tangents. I do that. I do that. It's like you're fleshing out the story, but I forget. I forget the point sometimes. Makes it fucking horrible. What word? What word? How do you Gish Gallop? Mm-hmm. who have you heard use those terms? I've never heard that before. Oh, yeah. So okay, what you just touched on, you have to know the topic. And so, how do you know the topic? How do you get to that point to where you know the topic? Is it by reciting things that you hear, or is it by actually knowing the vocabulary? I don't know what the answer is. It's a rhetorical question, but like the vocabulary, the terminology, what exactly it means, what it means. Yeah, because sometimes you'll hear a word and you don't necessarily you have an idea. Mhm. Yeah. So the reason behind that is because anytime, and this is again for me, this is an original thought, but what Jordan Peterson says is, um, and not says, I guess he's done like the research on it and whatnot, but usually people don't think about a subject long enough or not long enough. Is they don't have a whole lot of like, well, what if this, what if that, what if this, So if you actually have like a if you're talking about a subject and someone tries to attack your subject from the side, you have an idea. Someone tries to attack from the side, you've already thought about it, or from like any side. Because if you haven't thought about it yet, then bringing it up will make you think about it. So you keep having that same conversation, but it's an idea that you have, but talking about it, bringing it into the real world and testing it against other people's opinions, that you will come to something of an original thought. So original thought takes a lot of processing power because of that, because you have to test your theory in the real world. And anytime there's adjustments or questions asked to your idea, you either have to have an answer or you have to, come to the truth to where like maybe you were wrong. You know, um, hmm, right? Get over it. Yeah. Mhm. Okay, right there, what you just said was very well said, sir. I don't. That would be a tongue twister for me. I can't even recite what you just said, but because I don't remember it, but that was like you're good at communicating is what I'm getting at. Like I struggle to communicate like what's in my head to manifest to words, you know. But I was impressed the way you just delivered that. Sure, I'd love to. Hmm. Ah, there was. Hey, no, that's exactly what you did. That's exactly what you did. You just said that, but you crafted that sentence very finely. It became a structure like a piece of art. Hmm. It is. No, very convincing. I don't have that ability. I'm trying to learn the ability by recording and speaking of how to communicate effectively. And it's not only effectively, like I just said, I have a real hard time expressing the thoughts that I have in just words that I know, like in a smooth um, flow of, like with a like if I'm trying to tell you something like right now, I just disrupted that flow of the sentence several times because I couldn't think of the word. I couldn't think of the right word. Yeah. So yeah, it's like I need I need a smooth brush paint stroke across the canvas instead of like creating dots while I'm trying to paint that that line, that little stroke. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and the best way, and people that don't have this problem won't understand, but like for me, if I wake up for whatever reason, when I wake up, I feel like fresh, like ready to go, optimistic. I'm ready. Part of it is because I'm healthy and I live in America, and I'm well fed, and I've got water, and I'm not stressing over shelter. But I wake up with like a vigor, like just fresh, just ready to go. And then throughout the day, usually after I leave the house or something like that, my confidence diminishes. But if I get up and I have that momentum, if I can keep that momentum going by either just talking a lot or doing something, I need to stay active. If I slow down, I lose that momentum. But I can keep that momentum going. But usually what happens is the stress of the world and just talking to people and losing my train of thought and having too much information to process, I start falling down that peg of confidence. And then sometimes I'll pick it up by doing something. I something that's like challenging in a way, some kind of problem, or constant. So like, what in particular thing like constant? So you're thinking about your surroundings. Uh, Diminishes. Yes, sir. Mm. Yes, you want to be on top of that mountain. Yeah, but where do you find that motivation from? Because sometimes the day just beats you down. Well, I think the thing with this morning or like usually mornings is I'm not thinking, I'm not worried. I don't have any concerns. I'm just in the moment. I'm just like it's morning time, especially on a day off. It's morning time. I've got only things to look forward to: coffee and breakfast. Hmm. Yeah. Well, okay, so yeah, no, so there's one thing. Okay, I understand where you're coming from because I'll say certain things and it sounds like I live it, and there's a lot of things that I say that I don't live. I mean I do try to live, but I don't live it religiously. Or I know, yes, I know of it, and I know what I should be doing, and sometimes I do it, but I wouldn't say that I am living it. So it's like these things that you know that you should do, um, but sometimes you don't get around to doing them, or you so you know something, right? It's in the back of your head. If you think about it enough, it'll eventually form into action. So you have to know the proper way of thinking, or like motivation, or like so you have to know that when you're down. that there's a peak, there's a mountain that you can climb, and that you've been there before. And so you have to find that motivation to pick you back up and to make you at least just take a few steps forward instead of just standing still. And that's very difficult to find. So the only way, like for me, that I put anything into practice, it's an idea. I have an idea, like say going to the gym, and I'll know like after a while that idea intensifies. So at first it's like I need to go to the gym, and then it gets to the point to where like it's like okay, it's today, but it ramps up slowly. Like I think about it more and more and more, and then I eventually get up and go. So if you hear certain ideas or thoughts, if you have certain thoughts over and 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 over again, eventually you're going to act on them. But you need to put yourself in that headspace.